Here we go.
Here we go.
Mm. And I'm just going to share it on my other page and give everybody a minute to join.
Awesome.
Okay. Alrighty. Hey everybody, it's your girl Love Lisa, and you are in the encounter room with a very good friend, I can say that, and also a woman of God, but she's also the Assemblywoman for the state of New Jersey, and she's in the encounter room with me. So, welcome.
Hey, hi. Thank you so much for inviting me to the encounter room.
Hey girl, listen, I am, always ecstatic to talk to you because, I remember when, that's all I can say.
Yes,
and I'm not surprised. Yes. I'm not surprised where you're sitting. I'm really not. I'm really not.
I tell people all the time, your life journey isn't always what you plan it to be. And you just, I look at it as a career and just life in general, and the bumps and roads you go up and down, the good and the bad. And, I really feel like I'm in a place that I would have never, ever, ever, ever thought I would be. And so I'm
really, I saw it. Even when we were, I saw it. I saw all this greatness. I see it. I saw it then. And, so I'm so proud of you. But for those who are joining, tell everyone what an Assemblywoman does.
So I wanted to do like a quick civic lesson, right? So, you talk about state government, and, we want to think about, you have your federal government where you have your your senators, your congressmen on the federal side. And then you have the state legislature, right? So we have your state representatives. And so here in New Jersey, we have the Senate and the Assembly. In other states, they call them reps and senators. So it depends on where you are. It's the same thing, but just as, I just find traveling throughout the country, they have different titles that they use. But for New Jersey specifically, we have 3 members. And so you have the Senate and you have the Assembly. In the Senate, you have 40 members. In the Assembly, you have 80 members. Those members serve, the Senate serves for 4 years, the Assembly serves every 2 years. So we're on the ballot every 2 years. Right now, we're in this, the scope of a federal election. And so we have our presidents that are up, we have our Congress people are up, that are senators that are up. You also have on the county level, right? So you have county on the ballot this year. This is just for New Jersey. We have some of our freeholders that are up. And so we also have some of our committee people who are at the local, who represent their wards. So I just wanted to do a quick, like, little civic lesson on that. And so at the legislature, we craft laws through legislation and bills. And so we have lots of ideas that I like come from the community. And so we don't just, we just don't make this stuff up. It comes because we have people like you that reach us to say, listen, how do we make change here? What can I do? How we can be supportive? And then, we have to make sure we have a balanced budget. And so there's a collaboration that has to happen between the legislature. And I did skip in the civic lesson. I don't want to skip. There are 3 branches of government, right? You have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. These 3 branches operate independently, but we all kind of have the scales of balance, right? You have the judiciary, that's the law, that's the judges. You have the executive branch, that's the governor and all of his cabinet members. And then you have the legislature, which is the Senate and the Assembly. So all of these things are kind of operating all together at the same time. And so right now, with COVID, we're in this special space, right? and trying to get the budget done. And so recently we passed a 3-month budget to be able to close out last year. And so now we're working on a 9-month budget that's going to take us through the rest of the year. But Lisa, I can't stress to you how difficult this work is. If you know anybody that is in the hospitality industry, that's in the restaurant industry, that are self-employed, that are entrepreneurs, this space right now is critical. Our it's almost like when you're in a crisis, you see how bad things are, and it's like, oh, I didn't know our unemployment system, was crashing. We people are still waiting. I still get calls. I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls from people trying to get through the unemployment, and it's hard.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
hard when you don't work, you don't get paid, you still got to feed your family, you still got to pay the bills, you still, all of these things still have to happen simultaneously. And as a legislature, it's my responsibility to say, listen, I don't need excuses. I just need you to I need you to get this thing moving, and I need people to be called back. That's not what I do. If I could go in and be a claims person, I would go in and I'd try to handle as many claims as I could. Our office does make it a priority to call people back. Make sure, one, that we got your call, you got your emails, and then we send them over to the Department of Labor. So it's extremely important for us to be communicating, and that's the frustrating part for people that are trying to get unemployment right now. They don't have the ability to talk to somebody, so you feel like you're out there by yourself, and it's just extremely hard. So please keep those people in your prayers.
Absolutely.
Continue to volunteer, continue with the donations. It's just extremely important during all of this that we continue to give back and as much as we can, because it's extremely important. It's helping people live day to day.
Absolutely. See, that's what I really, so when your name came up, and obviously, when you were running and I had to go to actually vote, I was so excited because, I know your sensitivity for the people, and I know the fact that when you said that, you answer calls, you really do. I mean, I remember during when COVID first started, and I remember I called,
Oh yeah,
and a former mayor, and then they were like, "Well, I'm gonna have someone call you back," and then you didn't even know you were calling me back.
I
You didn't
know.
even know it was me, and I'm like, I could have just went to you. But the fact that you called me within an hour or two because I was concerned about a particular, one of our making sure that our state workers, make sure that they get COVID testing, even though I'm not one, but I wanted to make sure that, correction officers and our forensic employees at the state hospital, so, but you called me right back. And that's what makes you, and that's what, I'm so thankful that you are Assemblywoman and, the bills that you are working on and passing. But, so I want to talk a little bit about the census, how important is the U.S. Census especially for the city of Trenton, but for the U.S., but especially for us.
This, I think it goes back to that beginning with the civic lesson, the federal, the state, the county, the money that comes through the census. And I thought I had a paper, but I could tell you there's all kinds of things that go through the census. If you're talking about, before breakfast programs, we recently celebrated a lot of graduates, right? We got our high school graduates, we got our college graduates, we got people graduating from trade schools. These students need funding, right? So to continue their education, these Pell Grants comes through the census to know how many people are going. It's all about the data collection. And I used the example the other day. We just don't want to say, congratulations, graduate. We want to be able to give you money so that you don't have a whole bunch of debt coming out of college, whole bunch of debt coming from trade school. These grants, the Pell Grants, we want them to be able to have that so that they can go and focus on their education and not how I'm going to pay for this class, the next class, and the next class. That's one. We have people that start new businesses, right? We want to make sure, one, that you put your business in the right location. Again, the data is aggregated, so it could tell you, if you're looking to do a car wash, well, you don't want to put a car wash somewhere where you out sparse and you don't have a lot of traffic flow.
Right.
You don't want to put a restaurant somewhere where you don't have, people coming in to eat. So you have to figure out where that is. We don't just make this stuff up. We use that data. And how about we use the data also to say, listen, I don't want to just say congratulations and throw you a grand opening. I want to make sure you have funding that goes along with that. We have a lot of grant programs, community block grant programs that come through the census. There's small business development loans. There's all type of funding that comes through this. Another one we talked about was for the census is maternal health. We want to make sure that we count everybody, right? So you having babies, we want to do more than just give a baby shower. We want to make sure that we have a hospital that's in your area that can take care of you, and pediatric care that can take care of your baby. But if we don't know we have the people there to support it, then it also becomes like, okay, well, we can put you out here 20 miles away, and we don't have to just, we'll figure that out, along the way. When really, for us, for the goal is to have maternal health here in the city of Trenton. So it's important for people to send back their census information so we can say, oh no, we got babies, and we know we got babies here, and we know we got families here. We want to be able to count everybody. But think about it. The census is once every 10 years. If you have a baby now, the next time you'll be doing this, your baby will be 10 years old. If you have a baby now that's 5, in 10 years, they're going to be 15. They're going to be in high school, thinking about going to college. You want to be able to have programs like TRIO that support the Upward Bound program. All of these grant dollars come through completing the census. And so, sometimes we talk about, oh, I remember we had the wheat and seed programs. We had this, and this. These things come because we complete the census. These dollars come from the federal government. And I'm not talking about millions of dollars. I'm talking about billions, wow. billions. And what happens is if the pie is already set, if we slice it up and you're not included, it doesn't mean that the pie is, we throw slices away. No, that means somebody else gets your share. So again, it's important for all of us to complete the census. It's so easy. You can do it online. You can go to my2020census.gov. If you change your avatar on your Facebook page, you spend more time doing that than it would take you to complete your census. It's that simple. It's that easy. And the one thing that I also like about the census this year is that it has a question on there about your origin. Now, if I'm from Guyana, I want to be able to say I'm here and my origin is Guyana. If I want to be able to say, pardon me?
But somebody might be thinking, hey, especially those who may not be here, they may not want to put that. They may, for some reason.
You don't have to. That's right. You don't have to.
But okay.
You don't have to. I think you don't have to put that. What we want to know is where you live. April 1st, who's staying with you? April 1st has passed, but we have hard to count communities that lose out. And part of it, we have the new high school. Guess what? We need a new school in the South Ward. We need a new school in the East Ward. We need a new school in the West Ward. We know the children are here because we have the food programs, and we know how many people get free lunch or reduced lunch. All of those families need to be completing it, because then we know that the population, we're struggling sometimes with overcrowded classrooms and schools that, are in desperate need of repair. If we filled out the census, I'm not saying this is the silver bullet, but it definitely gives us leverage to say we get these dollars for school construction, for new hospitals, for new roads, for new businesses. I was thinking about the whole COVID. Jobs are changing now, right? People are looking to be reskilled and retooled. These job programs are federally funded. So, if you're looking to be retrained, you're going through the one stop, these dollars are federal. you want to make sure, again, if you're looking for all the reasons why to complete the census, this is it. If your family has been affected by violence, you could, there's the victims, the crime victims compensation program. This is federally funded through the Department of Justice. If you, again, it's because we fill out the census, we're able to aggregate this type of data. It's census is safe, it's secure, and it's super duper easy. So I think, even if you want to call on the phone, you can call. It really is easy. And I know I had a.
And another thing, that people don't mention a lot, but even it's very good for even connecting to your family tree.
Oh, yes.
It's probably one of the best things. It's so amazing to go back and see what your great grandfather did, where they lived, who lived in the house. So, we have to think about the legacy as well, too,
Yeah. In that sense, the census has changed because it doesn't ask your occupation anymore.
Really?
It doesn't.
See,
no. Did you complete your census?
I didn't do mine yet.
Did you complete your?
I did not, because I was waiting to hear all of these benefits. Because sometimes I'm gonna tell you, you wonder, why all of this information. But you know
what I did too, Lisa. I filled out my census, right? But I also, when they told me that you could call, I wanted to figure out what that sounded like. So if I'm telling somebody to call, am I getting an automated person? They have so many different languages you can call. They can talk to you in your native language, and you talk to a live person. So, for a senior who's not techie savvy, they can just call in and complete the census. If you're trying to help out your grandmother or your elders from your church, it's a simple phone call, and it's your name, it's your date of birth, and where you live at. That's it. It's like super duper easy. So encounter room. We're gonna follow back up with Miss Lisa.
Don't worry about it.
Because she got to practice what she preached down, and that is filling out the census.
I'm asking a question because I know my viewers want to know. I wanted to know
that, and people think we're looking for the paper in the mail. You don't need it anymore. So you don't need a code. You don't need the paper. If you're watching us on Facebook Live in the encounter room, you can go to my2020census.gov and complete your census on your phone, your tablet, or your computer.
Do it, and I hope my viewers do too, because it is important. So
it's extremely important.
So we're here coming up.
And Lisa, so I think this will take us to our next question as well. So the census also determines our voting districts. It determines the number of congressional representation. Okay. So when we think about the federal government and making sure we have the correct representation, there has been times New Jersey has lost representation when we went through some redistricting. So again, it's all about the population. How many people are here? How many people are participating? So now this is the last time that I'm going to show this envelope, which is my vote by mail, because I need to mail it.
Mine too. I was waiting I got mine right here, but I want to ask you questions on that too.
Okay. Well, we can go through it. We can go through it. But this, again, it determines not your federal representation, your state representation, the amount of committee people you have in your area, which ultimately decides who gets appointed to state boards and commissions, who gets decided who goes to your freeholder board, who gets go to your local board for your municipality. It determines who goes to the Senate, who goes to the Assembly. All of this is determined by the number of people that vote. And so again, when we're talking about aggregated numbers, this is another reason why it's extremely important. I can't stress it enough. It's our civic duty to do this, especially when you think about the sacrifices that our ancestors have made, our elders have made. I don't know if you
put the pressure on that we're going to
you have family that fought in the war. My dad is a Vietnam War veteran.
My dad to World War II. He was in the Navy. So.
And I've heard the story about how we got to fighting for our freedom. If we win this war, we will have the right to vote. That means I can get to select. So it's
thick, guys. Okay, she threw the ancestors at us.
I'm just trying to tell you. It's something because you know what, Lisa? You know what I think about too? I think about we're marching, we're protesting, we're asking for change. These things all go to here.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the action. This is to say, I want to hold you accountable for the things that I want to see in my community. And so it's a part of the whole system that we have, especially here in New Jersey. You have to protest and march and not vote. To me,
no, I'm voting. That's one thing. Listen, we was iffy on that during the census, but you need to clarify some things. So I'm good on that. Okay,
all right. Well, let's go through it. I can't open mine because I've sealed it. But let's. Is yours open?
I can.
So you're voting for you're in New Jersey. You're voting in New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm voting in New Jersey, and basically,
Okay.
obviously, it tells you whatever party. So whatever party that I've always voted for. So that's what's going to show up, and it doesn't give you. That's what me and someone was having myself and someone was having a conversation. It doesn't really give you even an option. Now, for those who are just tuning in, this is your girl, Love Lisa, and you are in the encounter room, and I have Assemblywoman, Verlina Reynolds-Jackson with me, and we're talking about everything legislations, and we're talking about the census and voting, and we got some other great topics that we're going to talk about too. But right now we're talking about the difference between primary voting, the primary vote, and then the voting that comes in November, which is the primary, and we have the primary
Right.
and the general elections, right? So tell me the difference between the two and why we're doing it and why it's so important.
So, you think about it, you have right now, this is the primary. Because we're in COVID, the rules have changed a little bit. This is where your party selects who their candidate is going to be for November. So you have your Republican Party who has their nomination, you have the Democrat Party who has their nominations, and then you have the Independent Party. What happened in this COVID environment, if you're an independent, you have to declare your party so that you can, and that's if you want to participate in the primary. The primary is about selecting the candidate that you want to represent you. If you don't want a D or an R, you don't have to participate in this one, because this, again, it's like an inter party kind of election. So we're determining where we at. So I know here in New Jersey, we had several candidates I think I saw some for the independents, and then I saw multiple candidates for the Democratic Party. And then I believe in the Republican Party, they had, their columns. In New Jersey, our columns go vertical. We go up and down.
Wait, so
some places they go across. Their ballots may be laid out differently.
Okay, so when you got your primary, you saw all of that, or did you just, because mine didn't look like that. Mine only had Democratic, because that's what
that's your party.
Okay, so that's my question. So if we're getting our parties Democratic, and then people are getting just Republican, and then Independent, I don't know how they're getting theirs, but I guess.
Well, in this COVID, you have to declare a party, and then they will send you that ballot. And I want to be clear, because we're in COVID, this is all a paper ballot. It's all paper. So if you don't fill this out and you go to your polling location, one, it probably won't be open because they've consolidated a lot of them because of COVID. So we're trying to protect your life, but also allow you the ability to exercise your right to vote. The ballot, if you go to the polling place, you're going to get a paper ballot. If you say I'm disabled, they have to call over to the Board of Elections. They have to verify that you did not send your paper ballot back. And then you have to sign a waiver stating that you are disabled, and then you will be allowed to vote in the machine. So there's like some processes that have to go through. Now, if you say I'm not disabled, then you still going to get the same provisional ballot, paper ballot that you got in the mail, and you're going to have to fill that out. So I think, again, we're trying to protect people. This is very, very different. Normally in the past, you might be able to say like, I'm sick or I'm out of town, but New Jersey has changed its laws where you don't need an excuse. You can vote by mail all the time.
Okay, so Verlina, so say if someone who now was once a Democrat, so now they just want to vote, they want to vote Republican. How does that work? Because
You have to go now. I don't have the deadline. For
see,
Mercer County, you can go to the Mercer County website. Paula Salome Cavello is the clerk, and or you would have to take that back. And I don't know if, again, not sure if the deadline has passed, but if you want to change parties, you would have to fill out the paperwork to do that, and then they would give you the other one. So that's what I'm saying. Like, everything is scheduled. It's a timeline for everything.
so
And
I couldn't go in November and say, you know what, I want to go in and vote.
you can do that. So
And I want to change my vote.
you can do
I
that.
don't want to say not that I,
No, I get you. No, I get you. You can do that. That's just like registering to vote, right? So registering to vote, that date has passed, but it doesn't mean that you can't register now and still go in and vote for the November election. So we can still continue to do voter registration. You can still be engaged, and then you will vote in November. So there's really never a final date to apply. It's just that the final date has passed for you to participate in this July election.
Okay, so in this July 11th, this is the primary. So it does not. So basically, it's just giving us the numbers of who we think.
It's giving you the list of people that have applied. So even like Bernie Sanders is still on the ballot.
How is
Yeah.
that?
So, well, this is before. So technically, he completed all the signatures that he needed, and so formally he's still there, although he's withdrawn his nomination. So again, people go in, you select who you want, whether that is you're a D or an R with all those candidates. That's up to you. And I just want to give a disclaimer. I'm not telling people who to vote for. I'm just telling you how to fill out your vote by mail. That is it.
Absolutely. So did you know there is actually a woman candidate for independent, a Black woman?
I didn't know that. That's where I was saying there's different names out there that's on.
Jade Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's running for president. A lot of people don't know that there's a Black woman actually running for president under the independent.
Right.
Thought I'd just throw that out there.
Yeah. I did.
But I mean, it's just another, one of the other questions I have for you. But I want, enacting laws is one of your responsibilities, right? So what needs to be established to protect Black lives against police brutality?
So we have a lot that we're working on, especially in terms of implicit bias. We're talking about the chokehold. New Jersey has the law that it's not allowed, is not taught. However, we don't have anything to make it criminal. So one of the big things that we're working on now is establishing that if you do perform the chokehold, that it would be a criminal offense. We're also working on bills that say you have to have training for bias training. We all have our own personal bias. That's just who we are as human beings.
Right.
But there's a difference, to be able to establish those guidelines when you talk about, does a person lose his life because he's selling Lucy cigarettes? Like, really? No. Does a person, because you got a flat tire on the highway? No. Like, where's the de-escalation at? Where does the partners that are standing there watching, how do you not intervene and say, yo, enough is enough? Like, stop. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just not worth a person's life. And so we're working on some other things to say that these things become criminal offenses. And, I think we have to continue to invest in our communities. I can't say that enough. Invest in our communities. Yeah. We know that if you put in resources and youth programs and recreation programs, those youth are less likely to be getting in trouble because their time is occupied. They're doing something else. They have good coaches. They have good mentors. We have programs to talk about careers and, how do you, whatever your lifestyle is. If you want to, I don't know, invent an electric car, we want to be able to support you in doing that. If you want to be, you want to have come up with your own microgrid, we want to support you in doing that. If you want to be the maintenance man, we want to support you in being the maintenance man, because guess what, everybody can't do that. We need to, and I think part of sometimes our bias, this is why I'm so big on the trade programs, is that it's not always about a college education. It's about whatever makes you happy, that's going to put food on your table so that you can have the life that you want. We have to really stop putting what we want on other people, but we need to make sure that they have the funding, the training, and the careers available so that whatever they decide to do, they're just not out here walking deliriously. You know what I mean?
So how important is it for citizens to reach out to get these bills passed, like to write their letters?
Oh, absolutely. So, the one thing, I'm going to task you, and I'm going to ask you, Lisa, do you have your legislature's phone numbers in your phone?
Not in my phone. I
should.
I have, right? I know how to reach out to you, but
I know. Well, I'm one of three, but and then you still, and I'm just talking.
So I just need the other two numbers, right? So
I need those two numbers, and you need your federal representation too, and you need your local people as well.
Okay, I know that. Would that be like my council people? Is that the people? Okay, yeah.
Yes. Because you know what, I am very, very bad that I am attached to my phone. But if something that I need to write down, or I want to send an email, I can do it right there. And I think, a lot of times people feel like, I don't know who they are, I'm not connected, I don't know. Nobody's going to give you anything. You have to be proactive. And if you have something that you want to see your representatives do, you reach out to them, you tell them, this is what I'm interested in. I got so many calls about defunding the police department. I got the calls about cultural implicit bias training. I got calls about reparations. Like, I've gotten calls on a plethora of things.
I like all three of those calls.
And so you get calls, you get emails. Okay. Even for we're dealing with like a lot of unemployment issues now. How do people know how to get in contact? They figured it out and they call. But I would tell all the people in the encounter room to make sure you have your legislature's contact information in your phone, so that when you come up with an idea, or you come against a problem or a concern, and you want to know how do I get involved, you can easily accessible to them. Say, okay, I'm gonna send them an email right now. Boom, it's done. And we get them. And we talked about the census in the aggregated number. When you get bulk of people talking about reparations and guaranteed income, defunding the police, and all of these other things, I'm not just getting one or two, I'm getting hundreds. And so, this is our time now. This is the time that we are putting in all of the things that we've been asking for over the years. Senator Turner told us the other day that she had a bill out for body cameras 20 years ago. I read a report from the state police for their racial profiling, 1999. We in 2020 now, and we still dealing with the same things. So the time is now, for us to take action. It's and you can only do that if you put pen to paper and you hold your elected officials accountable.
That's awesome. Well, my next question was going to, so basically this applies. So talking about the Amy Cooper case, the young lady that was in the park who accused the Black man of harassing her when she was really harassing him. She wouldn't put her dog on the leash. right? So then she calls the police and, you know, makes up this fallacy that a black man is harassing her, he's bothering her in the park. What can we, you know, also, you know, what can we do to those type of things? Is that the type of things that to prevent these things from happening? So should we again write more letters?
Absolutely. Let me give you the bill number. So we have a bill out already on the Assembly. It's Assembly Bill 4230, and it makes false crimination and filing false police reports as a form as bias intimidation crime, and it establishes crimes of false 911 calls for the purpose to intimidate or harass based on race and other protected classes. So again, we want to get this bill up and heard. We want to know that folks want this. This is an actionable item that people can definitely look at the bill. You can see who the sponsors are. We did our civic lesson. It's 80 members in the General Assembly. You can contact legislators that aren't in your district as well. I get calls all the time from different areas. And you can contact your 40 senators as well to say this is, you know, it's a package deal. What happens on one side has to happen on the other side. So again, you can call us, you can email us to say, I want you to support this bill.
Awesome.
I should give you the other ones. I should give you the other ones too, Lisa. So for the chokehold bill,
awesome. Go ahead.
We've created legislation to make use of the chokehold as a criminal offense, and it's A4284.
Okay.
And the one for the body camera, the legislation that mandates every police officer be outfitted for a body camera, is A4312.
Got it. So the other one, basically, if we Google Karen, the bill will come up.
No, listen here. You're going to go to the newjersey.gov. You're going to click on government. You're going to click on find your legislator.
Oh, I found it already. I have them already.
Okay.
I printed them out already.
Oh, you did?
Yes. And the ones by you for the primary sponsor, and then the ones you co-sponsored.
Okay.
I'm on it, girl. It's good information. It's great information. And really, I'm just really thankful that you're a part of this and you're always backing the community up that you came from. So, you know, my next question is, as a woman, how does it make you feel to see so many other women, especially Black women, verlina, doing so many extraordinary things? So, you know, we can talk about, you know, these leading mayors in our country right now. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she's from DC.
Right.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms from Atlanta, Georgia. Mayor Sharon Weston Broome, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Mayor Victoria Woodard from Tacoma, Washington. How does that resonate with you when you see these women strong and moving forward and not looking back?
Oh, yeah. You know, it gives me such hope and courage to see women speak out and to stand for their communities. We've known this for a long time. I mean, you want to talk about a role model. I'm going to just say, check out your girl, Love Lisa. In the encounter room. Oh. You know, when you look at your story and see how hard you have fought from where you are to be able to grow, right? You know, we've grown from there. And so I look at it to say, you know, I'm no different than anybody else. It's whatever your passion is. We talked about it a little bit earlier. You can't run from it. It's there, and it wakes you up. Sometimes it keeps you up at night. But you feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. I know I'm supposed to be fighting for, you know, special education. I know I'm supposed to be fighting to get people out of poverty. I know I'm supposed to be fighting for better housing qualities. I know these things, and I've also know how to go after those dollars. And what I like to say, if there's something that you're interested in, please let me know. You know, we have a lot of environmental injustice issues. So no, seriously, because you think about it, you know, when we talk about incinerators, we talk about garbage, we talk about, you know, these refueling places there. You know, I remember when I was on council and the neighborhood came in and said, hold up, they want to put something else down here. We can't take it. We can't take it. And so, you think about all of these things, the lead that's out there. Our children are more likely to have lead poisoning that leads to disabilities, that leads to learning disabilities again. And then you have this lifelong effect that, we're still trying to support you and make sure that you get what you need. But we know that becomes, we need new housing stock. We need new schools. We need to make sure we have the resources to support these people, because they don't stay children forever. They turn into adults. And again, we're always trying to support and grow. It's not just about, just being mediocre. God didn't create us to be mediocre. He created us to be above, beyond, and blessed. And those are the things that we're supposed to be giving back. And so I just want to be clear about our purpose.
No, I'm so glad that we can reach out to you here in Trenton, New Jersey, and Mercer County. We can reach out to you, and you are really a phone call away. Some people say call them, but I know that to be true about you and several other people in this city, but especially you. So also, you being a lifetime resident of Trenton, New Jersey, a graduate of Trenton High School, right? You attended also Trenton State College, which is the College of New Jersey. I remember being on campus with you and my cousin because she was your roommate, right? Y'all were so responsible. You were responsible. I have to say that. But how would it make you, being such a, from Trenton and all of the things that Trenton means to you, how will it make you feel to see Black Lives Matter?
Oh, it gives me, this is not a new space for me. I grew up in the YWCA, where we talked about ending racism and empowering women. This is in my DNA. This is something that is not new. This is just who I am. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we look for us in these spaces. And when you don't see us on corporate boards or on boards, period, or in certain positions, you might be volunteering. You might be looking for somebody to say, listen, we have an opening here. Lawrence Township got 3 seats that's coming up for the school board.
They do.
Maybe Love Lisa is a candidate to be on the school board. Maybe, maybe that's you.
I think Hamilton Township as well. So they're looking for board members as well. Lawrence Township, New Jersey, and Hamilton. And it would be nice to see people of color fill those seats.
It's about time we get people to fill those seats. When we look, and when you look at the representation of the schools, right? And in any industry, you start to look at how many of us that are at the executive level, how many of us are at mid-level, and how many of us are at the entry level. And, especially in school administrations, I think, especially from what I've seen, there's not enough of us. And so we're talking about advancing Black people that are qualified, that should be serving in these roles. Nobody's asking you to give them anything. We're just saying that we are here, and it's not like we haven't applied, because we have, and we've been denied based on whatever. And so now I think starting at the local level, at the school board level, this is where we say, we're signing petitions. We're out here trying to get people to do the census, trying to get people to come out to vote. Well, guess what? We need people at the table too, that rotate the head. We need people. And it's not always left up to somebody else. We can't always say, oh, so-and-so needs to do it, or so-and-so. Sometimes that person is you. And so it's the action that comes after the protest, after the rallies, after the visuals. Where are we going to put and direct all of our resources to?
We want all of that.
Or maybe one of them.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know if I can wear another hat, but so Black Lives Matter. You'll vote.
Well, don't say no. Just say, let me think about it.
I already listen. We'll talk. My love is between Trenton and Houston, Texas. So I have a love. I'm trying to.
You got a Mercer County ballot, so that's what I'm
saying.
I
do. I am definitely a Jersey Mercer County girl. But so Black Lives Matter on the street, yay or nay?
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so On Tuesday, Mayor Barack of Newark, New Jersey, signed an ordinance into law that effectively bans white supremacist activity in Newark and redirects 12 million of the police division's budget to anti-violence services. What are your thoughts on this? And
I think that's what we talked about earlier, right? We were talking about, it's not necessarily it's investing in our youth. It's investing, taking those dollars and investing it into the community. It's into the youth programs. It's into community development.
so
I think it's
so not defund them, so I don't know, defund.
I don't like the word defund because, listen, we still live in a society. I think there is a difference between demilitarization, right? So I don't think we should be over policed. I'm not, that we don't need. Right. What I'm saying is there is a way. We don't have a police athletic league. Why doesn't Trenton have a police athletic league? That comes from the police department. So again, it's about diverting those dollars back to impact lives. And that is an example to do that. So I think it's about how do you do that? We have ways to the CPAC meetings that they have out to you have the police that come and communicate, right? So our CPAC police officers are awesome. They're there to be a part of the community. They're not there to judge residents because they have complaints. They're there to take the complaints and make somebody's quality of life better. I don't want to go out playing police. I'm not the police, and I don't want you going out. And I don't want my mama going out to play the police. So I think there's a way, but I also think it comes from within, right? It's the culture of the police department. It's not about, oh, you're superior. I gotta be this walking robot, and you gotta do what I say, or I'm going to take you to jail. It's about how do you communicate and be respectful to me, and I'm respectful to you. I'm coming to you with a problem. I need help. How do you help me? And I think oftentimes a lot of our police officers do act in a social worker capacity. And, that's what we need more of. We're looking for more. We got people, the state did a dirty thing when they closed down all these mental health places. They closed them, they put them in these group homes, but the supportive services aren't there. And so you got a lot of people out here that have mental health issues that aren't receiving the support that they need. So you got to be able to have that balance to it. And so, when we talk about the police department, I think about the military. I think about guns. I don't want to think about that. I want to think about, Officer Talaferro. I want to think about, Officer Hargis. I want to think about, Director Cooley. I want to think about these people that represent my community, that know how to come in and that are of the community, right? These officers grew up in Trenton. They went to Trenton High. Cooley came from an urban area, so she understands urban life. That's what we need. And we need police officers that believe that and want to be a police officer and serve in Trenton. I need to understand that. And so just because I might come outside with my furry flip-flops on don't mean that I want to be disrespected. It's like, don't judge me on that. I called you for a reason. Right. People call the police for life and safety reasons. I need you to be compassionate. I need you to be understanding. That's what I need. I don't need you to go, oh shit. I don't need, that's not what we want. It's about the training. It's about the culture. And that happens from the inside. So you got to look at how people were trained, what kind of examples. My pet peeve, I was on a call the other day, and it was about law enforcement. And they used Trenton 4 times to describe a police situation. Now, this wasn't a Trenton call. But so I had to, and I'm not about, shaming folks. That's not what I do. No. But I did have to make a phone call to say, listen, you can't continue to put Trenton down in that fashion, because that town that you live in have those same incidences that you could have reported that came from that town. But you have this bias that keeps coming in. And so you compound that again and again and again and again. And so now you got, Trenton. No, you got domestic violence out here. You got, crime out here in suburbia. You don't need to use Trenton as your example. So I ask people, be mindful when you giving speeches and you talking that you're not using Trenton as your example when your own town has those same issues that you can point out. that's not fair to the city of Trenton, and it puts us in a different light, and that's just not who we are. But we're constantly fighting that because of those implicit bias that people don't even realize that they're doing.
But you think some of these biases are basically, from our current administration, from the White House, with our president, Donald Trump?
I think yes, and I also think the media plays a huge role in it also, and we can't let them get a pass on that.
Absolutely.
They play a huge part into it, and they give, they don't give us the light that we should have. They don't put us in a positive feed. And I remember when President Barack Obama won his election, this particular newspaper didn't even run that story. I was like, you got to be kidding me. How could you not run the story after he had to win? So, it's things like that where you're like, I won't be buying that no more.
But could our leader of this country do a better job?
Absolutely. Look at them separating moms from families, putting babies in cages. Like, absolutely. And what does it all go back to? Is that the representation that you want? Then, you make sure you fill out your ballot. If you want something different, then you need to take action and fill out your ballot and send it back. Because that's how it happens. And it's not just the president that's there. We need to have that checks and balances, right? So if you have the Senate and you have the Congress, guess what? Now you got both houses, we can get stuff done. And then you can be able to get the majority overruled if that's what you need. But Lord, please, I hope we have a change. I couldn't believe that we're in this situation that we're in now. But we still have to participate. We have to participate. You have to vote.
Verlina, you're a woman of faith. Now, we're in a season where people just don't believe politics. They don't believe in their politicians. How about that? They don't believe in, even if they do say they're a Christian, because we see so much, I want to say perversion, within our own system. So what would you say, people who are losing faith to say, you know what, I know that they say they're a Christian. I mean, come on, we just had our president stand on national TV with the Bible. He couldn't even one scripture. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
But so how tell us, what are we, people of faith, give us something to believe in when it comes to why should we vote? Because there's some pastors actually tell, mine doesn't. My pastor won't tell us that. She does not tell us that. But there's some pastors I've heard on TV, don't vote. That's not what we do.
Wow. Well, listen, I think I call them Jedi mind tricks, to be able to say someone should not participate for whatever reason in your legal responsibility, your civic responsibility. Do you know in other countries, I heard a story this week about a man came in to drop off his vote by mail, but he thought he was late. And he told them that, in my country, you could be fined or go to jail if you don't vote. And it's extremely important. And when you look at the lack of participation here in the United States versus other countries, they come out it's huge turnout. I wanted to tell you also, we passed the bill also for people that's on parole and probation to be able to participate in voting. That's also a huge part of it. When you think about trying to silence us, we talking about over 80,000 people that are now eligible to vote. You can fill out your application. You can vote in the November election. It just looks like another way to marginalize us. It was only a majority affected Black people.
Yeah,
absolutely. It affected Black people. And so, you kind of got to look, why is that? And again, when we come out collectively to support a candidate, it's us that get you to your win number. It's us. And so again, you want to make sure your candidates have your values as a part of what they're supposed to be working on. You have to interject that. We don't just make this stuff up. We need to hear from you so that we make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. Hold us accountable. That's what's calling holding your elected officials accountable.
Yeah, we're trying to do that here, hopefully in Trenton, New Jersey. And, because, you have been on the board for what? You were on the Trenton City Council board for 8 years, and 4 of those years as the vice president. Look, she was like counting. I think
I
so.
know, right? Because it's like 7.5. It's 7.5, but it's all good.
Yeah, 7.5 years. But and when it comes to holding our elections from the mayor to the council people, I mean, we got to keep it right and tight. And so hopefully, we can bring you back for that. Maybe you could do a whole training how we can keep that whole system.
Absolutely. And it's nobody's perfect, right? So there's sometimes we vote on things that you might not be in favor of, but you have to look at the totality. Is it someone else, or is it your candidate? But again, you have to participate. It's not optional to say I don't want to vote. You have to, and you have to hold them accountable. So we just it's our civic duty. It's our civic responsibility. It's part of what our elders have fought for. And again, we are the backbones of this country. We built it. We have a say. And so we need to make sure that we cast our vote. This cycle is paper. Prayerfully, it'll be back to the machines in November. But whatever way that is, we need to make sure that we exercise our right to vote.
Verlina for vice president. I can see it on the ticket. I run for school board, you run for VP. That's a fair trade. But listen, I want to thank you so much. Before we leave, just tell the people again, just leave them with your final words.
Final words is, we have to be really mindful and strategic about what we're doing now. Black Lives Matter, and it's just not a slogan. It's just not. We want to make sure we strategically operate in a space to make sure that we are represented. Casting your vote, completing the census, joining local boards, school boards, your planning boards, housing boards, coming to meetings, voicing your concerns. All of this is our public right, and we fought for these rights, and we need to make sure that we exercise them often and frequently. And I think we are on the right path. We just can't give up. It's not an easy one, and it's going to take us a long time. We've been doing this now for a long time, and this isn't the end of the journey. This is just the beginning. So I just want to make sure that we all stay together collectively and uplift one another, because there's more positivity doing that than tearing each other down. There's enough space for everybody. So I wish you the best of luck, Lisa. I love you. Thank you to everyone in the encounter room for this opportunity. I think we talked about a lot. We can go back and talk about all of these things individually for this whole session. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always email me. My assembly address is my name, ASW, Reynolds, like Reynolds Rat, REYNOLDS, Jackson, like Michael Jackson, JACKSON, at NJ, like New Jersey, NJLEG.org. My phone number is 609-292-0500. We're also on Facebook. So you can always send us messages there. And I know I have staff on that are looking at any questions in between. So we can be able to get back to you if we didn't address it or you want to be able to talk about it a little bit more. So thank you, Lisa.
Amen. Listen, well, what we like to do here, we like to pray and then encounter.
Right now.
So Father, in the precious name of Jesus, I thank you, Father God, for your servant, Verlina, God. I say no weapons formed against her shall or prosper, God. I thank you, Father God, for every dream and every witty invention that you have given her for this city and for this community, God, and even this world, God. That, Father God, let her know, Father God, that all she needs to do is cast her cares on you because you care for her. So, Father God, I thank you, Father God, for her being in this city and all the things that she is doing and going to do, God. So, Father God, as we come into the end of this show, God, we know, Father God, that you could do anything but fail. And Father God, we love you and we appreciate you. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
Amen.
You welcome. Hey, you guys, you've been listening to Love Lisa right here in the encounter room. Come back with me next time. I love you.